Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Phenomenal Reads. My name is Jeremy York, and I want to introduce you to a very little known book called Schoolhouse by Duigon. I'm hoping I pronounce his name right. Now, I have no idea how I got this book into my collection. No clue whatsoever. I do know that I've had it for a, a long time, and I have always been intrigued by this cover. So this gave me the feeling of a haunted school. Whether if it's high school, middle school, elementary, I wasn't sure until I started reading this. And folks, I want to tell you something. When I read this book, I was so sure that I was reading a Stephen King novel. I really was. I thought that I had found a book that Stephen King wrote under another name, like he did with Richard Bachman, before that one was ultimately found out. I truly thought this was something that he wrote and put out there, just to see. I was wrong. This guy has put out some other books, and the only other book that I know of is Lifeblood, which I think is a vampire novel. I have it. I haven't read it yet. But if the cover is any indication to the story, that is not a vampire, because this is not a haunted school. This is actually a book about aliens, but you don't get to that until towards the end. I know, spoiler, but you know what? I don't believe spoilers exist. And I'm the kind of person where I can know exactly what's going to happen. I know what the ending is. I know everything about this thing. It is not going to keep me from enjoy reading, watching, or whatever. But this guy is so good at writing. I really, really thought it was Stephen King. I do not understand how this was not a bestseller, because I can't find anything about this book in terms of how it did in the market. It just seems like it was put out there and then ultimately forgotten about. Sort of like maybe this was an independent author, but it's not an independent author because it was released by Pinnacle Horror. So this is a traditionally published book. It is an extremely good book. So if you can find this thing, you are going to love this book. You really are. I truly did. I was so engaged in it. The story was so easy to read. The flow, the pace, and everything was perfect with this book. But yet, nobody knows about it. And that's why I'm hoping through this channel you are introduced to this thing and you decide to go and get it. Again, this is Schoolhouse by Duigon. Duigon. That's how his last name is spelled. This is something I cannot recommend enough. I really can't. It is such a fantastic read. I breezed through this so quick. I absolutely loved it. It is one of my all-time favorite books, one of my all-time favorite stories, and I just wish that he stuck with this and wrote more horror novels, because he only wrote two, to my knowledge, Schoolhouse and Lifeblood. And then he went into some like a fantasy genre. I'm not really even sure what that is. But this was released back in the 80s, and I just don't understand how this wasn't turned into a movie, because it would have been such a good movie. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. But I truly believe that if you love reading books, if you love reading horror stories, scary stories, you would definitely love this one. So, again, this is Schoolhouse. You might be able to find it on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you will. But for all I know, I got this at a yard sale. I really don't remember. I just know I've had this thing for a very long time. And I am so glad to have read this book. And I think you will be too. So definitely get it.